I'm not like trying to shit on your braid or anything.
No. I mean, it's not.
I'm confused. I get confused, but my confusion comes from an honest place.
Oh, it does.
I just don't like, there's certain things that I don't understand, but that's not for me to figure out. That's for you to figure out.
And consider me a philosopher in the area of what we're talking. I'm philosophizing, right? I'm not an expert. I'm not skilled in the trade, but I definitely have a sort of philosophy that lines up with that type of lifestyle that has piqued my curiosity to continue to educate myself on what it means to do what I want to do.
Sure. I get that.
So I've done a lot of I've read a series of books, series of communities. I've been joining a series of communities on the subjects.
I'm so excited by the time you're 74 years old that you'll finally get this going.
Maybe. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I get it, but at the same time, I don't. That's just me.
Here's the thing.
Thomas, get out from under the desk. God,
it challenges modern culture's lifestyle, right? It severely challenges it in a way that comes with stripping responsibilities as it pertains to your contributions to society. It does involve some of that, stripping away some of that, right? Stripping away some of your responsibilities economically and as a contributor to society, because you're going to be self-sustaining. But then at the same time, creating new responsibilities and accountabilities for your own small community or yourself, right?
Yeah, but to have a small community, others have to be like-minded.
Yes.
Otherwise, again, you become the Unabomber.
Or I got to move out to like New Mexico, or
you're gonna have to be in some cult. Is essentially
some hippie group, which I think there's like a Rainbow Club or something like that. I forget what it's called.
Chris, those are cults. That's what those are. They're cults. They're people that live in small communities that are very like-minded, and they only share beliefs amongst that particular group.
You know what's the most valuable resource on the planet, Corey?
Cults.
Copper, my friend. You think gold is gonna get you through the apocalypse? No. Copper.
Who the fuck ever said gold was gonna get you through anything? Gold is a fragile and malleable metal
that we place value
on, but has no value outside of what we place.
But copper is something to stand behind,
I guess. I mean, almost people do rip it out of new houses, so
it adds a slight
something.
It adds a slight flavor to your Moscow Mule. It has a really strange ability to.
Do you know? Here's the thing. Here's what makes a Moscow Mule so good in those copper cups. Do you know why?
It's the temperature.
Kind of.
Because copper like sweats, and it like
that's it. Yeah. Copper sweats. So that's what makes, to me, the most appealing part about a Moscow Mule is that you do get the copper, which insulates a lot of the cool, but the cup sweats, and it's nice to have a cool, moist cup, especially on a hot day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I admire about having them in copper cups. And I think that's one of the intentions around. So every time I get served a Moscow Mule not in a copper cup, it's very deflating. It's not the same experience.
Have you always wondered, we've talked about this at family gatherings, talking about the word like moist. And moist can be kind of awkward to say to someone.
Most females don't like moist.
I kind of gravitate towards damp. Like, oh, you got some damp panties, girl. Like,
yeah, but listen to how moist panties. Unless just you know what the problem with moist is the we.
Yeah, probably.
The problem with moist is we. So when you go moist, it just sounds perverted. There's a perversion to the word moist. It's that elongated O. That's what it is. Moist. It's got a Y. It's got like a kind of a, what do you call it? Like kind of a, like it's like a banjo effect when you say it. Moist.
Yeah.
It has something about that. Just the middle part of the word is terrible. And I think that's why it's so cringeworthy.
What about soiled panties?
That just sounds dirty. Like that. That's right? Dirty. That just means you shit yourself. Moist is an indication. If you say moist panties, it should just be an indication of a few things. One, you've sweat, right? Let's say you're just out playing volleyball in the heat. I got some moist panties. Let's say a guy gets you all hot and bothered. Yeah. Or a girl, doesn't matter, whatever you're into.
Sure.
I got some moist panties.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, my God.
Look at that he, him, and that she, her over there. My panties are moist.
Playing outdoor volleyball, and this guy, I swear, was sculptured from the gods. It gave me the dampest panties.
Yeah, damp is weird. Damp is weird because damp is almost a clinical term.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Damp is almost kind of, it is, I think it's more damp is like a mom and dad word. Fuck, these towels are damp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But moist has this like naughty sexual connotation to it. Like, I think it's hilarious when people say moist cake. That to me is so funny. We're like, God, that cake's so moist. And you're like, oh, like, are you about to bang this? Are you about to fuck this cake?
What about soaked panties?
That just sounds so soaked is an extreme. You know what I mean? Soaked is, if you have something that's wet, soaked is the extreme of wet. It's like, it's on the other side of the spectrum. Soaked is, if you have moist panties, or I think moist is more associated with damp in terms of like, there's some condensation, there's a little moisture, like there is some precipitation in your panties, precipitation panties. If it's soaked, it means that these things have been drenched in a tub or left out in the rain.
I like that. What about drowned panties?
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
You have to change your whole outfit with drowned panties.
Yeah. I don't even know if you could say drowned panties, because I think once you get past soaked, it's kind of like, it's like hitting affinity. You can only get so far. Drowned. Imagine a guy saying that. And you know what? I took her pants off, and her panties were drowning. Like how do you express that? I mean, that's actually a good way. If you want to create the best adjective to show the severity of something or the extreme of something, that's what you would say. Be like, her fucking panties were drowning. I feel like that's how you'd have to say it. Soaked would get the point across.
Yeah.
Drowning, everybody would be like, oh, yeah. Like it would create a moment between the audience. Soaked, people would be like, I understand. Drowning, people would be like, they would react to it.
Soaked sounds like an accident. Oh yeah, they soaked their panties.
Yeah. What other words are there for? So you have damp, moist, soaked, drowning. What else is there? There's just wet, but that's the expression I think everybody uses, right? Wet is probably the most common. Yeah. But what outside of that? Like, what else is there? Saturated.
That's clinical. That's super clinical.
Saturated, super clinical. That means
it's a measurable amount.
Poor Mrs. Mayberry down in room 203 just had an accident again.
Saturated her panties.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like there's a measurement to it. Like you can measure it. Like, yeah, we were able to identify that there was 0.2 milliliters of saturated Moisture in her panties.
Yeah, saturation is definitely that's more clinical. Precipitation.
Ooh.
Sounds like there's a cloud in your fucking pants.
Swampy.
Precipitation sounds like you have like the coastal line of Hawaii shoved in your panties. So there's 30% chance of precipitation. What if a girl said that to a guy? Be like, you want to come back to my place? Listen, if we go back to your place, there's a 47% chance of precipitation.
Oh shit. So good.
Oh man, you realize we're never going to be able to run for office in this podcast.
I know.
Right? Could you imagine?
And if he was a weatherman, it's all the better of a fucking comment.
Oh god. What if, dude, if a girl said that to a guy, that would be so funny.
It would be.
There's an 87% chance of storms in my Oh.
This segment came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about. Right. Then it was like, Jesus, what was that? Yeah, so I think that what's kind of weird though to me is that like we haven't figured, it's almost like I still don't know that there's a perfect word for is it the fallacies, the phallus of a male? I don't know that there's like still a good penis is very clinical. Dick is like that's like it's so masculine and filled with testosterone. Penis is very clinical. Cock is very porn.
Yes.
I mean, you say donger, you say all those things, but those are all joking, right? That's satirical, really, in nature. There's not really a good word for the penis, in my opinion. Nothing that like really just like, you know what I mean? Like is like really impactful, gets the point across, but does it in a meaningful way, but not in an abusive way. You know what I mean?
I struggle
with. Dick is very abusive.
I struggle with that from a masculine sense of saying it without, like, don't get me wrong, like a penis is very sexual, and I would like it to be portrayed as sexual or some type of arousing word, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the bedroom or you're with someone, but when I say the words out loud,
it's weird.
Because it's different. It's fucking weird as shit to say dick. It's weird to say cock because it immediately puts me in this headspace that I'm talking about my penis as if it's something other than just my penis now. It's like this symbol. And when you put a name to a symbol, there's a certain perception of what that symbol means. Yeah. So when you say dick, it seems kind of like, if you say cock, you're right. It feels very porno-ish. And I just don't feel comfortable saying it.
Yeah, cock seems abusive. It does. Like, I feel like you use that word. I don't mean like abusive and it's weird. Like if you're with a consensual partner, like being like, suck my, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like very like, it's very powerful.
But then you say it a little bit more, how do we put it? Clinically, right?
Is it about the delivery though?
You say, suck my penis.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. There is
honestly, it's 2021. We shouldn't be telling anybody what to do.
No.
Would you? Excuse me. Would you like to suck my cock? Oh, like, how do you can't say that.
No.
Like, how do you do it? I think really what you have to do now is that you have to sign it on a piece of paper. It's got to be a consent form. And on that piece of paper needs to be a contractual agreement that says, on so-and-so date, fill in the blank. Do you agree? Do you agree? And then you have to make it clinical because all legal documents are very wordy. And then you've got to come up with some wordy sentences beyond that. as a part of the agreement that also requires a signature. I feel like that's what has happened.
Suck my rigor mortis meat.
Ugh.
Or
dude, that means a dead body dick.
Oh, that's true. See what I'm saying? Like, it just, the perception is important. Ooh, suck my taffy smacker.
I don't think you can say that either. That's sexually abusive for sure.
Suck my mushroom dome.
I'm
trying to help. I'm really trying to help here. I'm trying to help.
I think you just can't say it anymore. I think what it comes down to is you simply cannot suggest or you cannot. Did you hear about that baseball player?
No.
So there's you don't know anything. Jesus Christ, Chris.
I'm off the grid, bro.
So there's this baseball player. He's a pitcher. And he's made no bones about it, about his sexual exploitations with females, like fans and stuff, right?
Okay.
Like, oh, you're so cute and you're worth $300 million. Let's get together. Some girl slid into his DMs, which he had already banged it out before with her in the past. And he has rules of engagement. Like, listen, this isn't going to and I don't mean like weird rules. Like, hey, this isn't going to turn into a relationship. I'm not looking for a relationship. Here's what it is. I'm setting it out there now. So there is no expectation afterwards. Like, my expectation is that you leave my house when this is over. That's my expectation, right? And she was cool with it because they'd done it before. But then they were texting back and forth, and it was all about this kind of fantasy role play of things that they wanted to do together, right? Like this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. Well, it escalated. Got to the point where she's like, choke me out. And he's like, all right, I'll choke you out. Like through message, right? I'll fucking choke you out. He's like, I'll put my hands around that neck. And she's like, oh, what else are you going to do? She goes, I want to pass out. I want you to punch me in the face. Like, and he's like, oh, God, yeah, I'll punch you the fuck face. By the way, he's a major league pitcher. So probably punch pretty hard if I had to make an assumption. Well, then it gets time. They get together. It was after a game, met up at his place. All those things happened. He choked her, which she asked for. Choked her until she passed out. And then punched her in the face and broke her orbital bone, smashed her fucking orbital bone. She wakes up and goes, what the fuck? And sues him. And it's literally in text message where she's like, I want you to punch me in the face as hard as you can. And he's like,
how does this play out?
I'm pretty sure he was suspended from the league at this particular point in time. I think he's still suspended while they're trying to kind of figure out what's going on. But there are text messages that say she's asked for all of these things. So it's like, where do you draw the line? Now, here's for me personally, right? This is my perspective on it. Now, I'm just telling you the details of what happened. I'm not suggesting of what I would do other than to say, like, listen, I don't care if someone goes, punch me in the face as hard as you can. Like, I want you to break my face. I'm never going to do that to somebody. And secondly, that's just me personally. If I am a major league pitcher who's one of the best in the league, who's worth millions of dollars and always in the spotlight, you have to have some sort of awareness that says, if you're going to do this thing, even if it's her wishes, you have to have enough wherewithal to go, this is not going to be a smart move for me personally. So I'm not going to execute these types of things. Keep it as this, like, if you want to keep it as this like sexually charged thing, you know, between two people that are messaging back and forth to kind of amp up the situation before you go into it, whatever. You do you. Crazy's crazy. That's fine. But to actually follow through on it, he broke her fucking skull. He hit her so hard. She woke up and just fucking, and then he's like, oh my God, what did I do? And it's like, dude, you punched her in the fucking head while she was passed out.
Dude.
What do you mean, what'd you do?
He threw her his hardest fastball. Basically.
Yeah. What if she woke up and he goes, listen, you're
98 mile an hour.
And like, you should have been lucky I didn't throw 100 on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, how fucked up is that though? Like, you do have to have some sort of awareness.
Well, I think part of it too is saying something and doing something are so drastically different.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
God, yeah.
There's so many people that say they want to go on a roller coaster and never go on a roller coaster. There's so many people that say, I would love to live in the countryside, but will never go to the countryside. Like, there's a difference between saying you want something and doing something you want. Like, so part of me is like, she's probably just playing into his fantasy a bit.
I think they were playing into each other's fantasy.
But she didn't realize what that meant.
Yeah, he took it
when it came to action.
Literally. Yeah. He took it so literally, he punched her and broke her face. Which is fucking crazy because you realize how hard you have to hit someone to break their fucking bone, right? Yeah. You have to hit someone pretty fucking hard. Yeah. And she was passed out when he did it. Because he did strangle her until she passed out. Like that was part of the whole play of it. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really fucking weird. I don't know where we were going with that. I think we were talking about certain words. And then
I don't either.
Breaking this chick. I don't either. Yeah, pretty fucked up situation, but the case is ongoing. And I think he was suspended. I'm pretty sure at this moment in time, he's not pitching in the major league. I don't think. But he's like a really well-known pitcher. So
life threw him a curveball. It's time for a changeup.
He threw her threw her a fucking slider.
Totally threw her a slider.
Oh shit. We got to get in some stuff, you know?
Sure.
Do we ever get into stuff? Let's get in some stuff.
Sure.
What do you think?
What I like. It's so low quality.
It's bad because I don't think it picks it up correctly. Like you should probably do it with my phone.
We'll do it through my board. I'll set it from a button over here.
Yeah, we should do that. Do you want me to send you that? I should probably send that to you.
Yeah, let's do it right now. Let's workshop this during a recording. Send me the file. We'll figure this out now.
Well, it's not in a file, but you may be able to download it into a file. You may be able to record it and then download it into a file if you want. The problem is like through Zoom, it sounds like shit, but on the podcast, it actually sounds pretty good. So anybody who's like watching the YouTube video is probably like, what the fuck are they listening to? Because it sounds fucking horrible. But it doesn't sound bad on the podcast. It sounds as intended. But before we get into this, people are going to hear a little bit of silence because I'm just sending you the link. So
yeah, let's workshop this.
Shit, I sent it to you the wrong one.
Do you all have a minute for us to work through this technical?
Yeah, we also both have like 7 email addresses, so it makes it really hard to send emails. All right, yeah. Let's get into the news. Some things to go over this week. There's actually a lot to go over, but I'm only going to pick a few. The ones that I think are most relevant. This is actually a cigar release that I was pretty excited about. Mostly because I'm intrigued by their cigars. It's weird. I've had like varying experiences with their cigars. I know the flavors are absolutely incredible and they have some really cool vitolas, but Chris and I have talked about some of their cigars before and having some issues like burn challenges issues. And that's Cavalier Cigar limited edition 2020 begins shipping this month. The Cavalier Cigar. So I think they're a Swiss company. Has some really, really good cigars. I think the flavors are really fantastic, especially in that white. And they have that Solomon's Vitola that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I've always had burn challenges with them. But of course, when they release something, because the flavors are actually pretty wild and pretty, to what I think are very delicious and unique, I was excited the fact that they had this one come out. It is a limited release. Obviously, there's just over 1,600 boxes and only 1,100 of those are actually releasing in the United States. Each cigar comes in at $12. So a little bit of an elevated price point. They had a limited edition that came out last year and they did a box press for that. This one is not box press this year and actually comes in 3 different vitolas. So it comes in the limited edition, which is comes in 2 different vitolas in the 2021. Hold on, let me see. Nope. 2021 is only 1 vitola this year. It's a 6x54 Toro. It's actually like a fucking Toro Plus. So it's a fat donger. The recent years, they were doing the box press editions, 2018, 2019, 2020, but the prices have stayed relatively the same. So this one is a 6x54. Last year's was as well, but I think it was a box press. Again, $12 on the price point of that, roughly $120 for a box of 10. They actually look really, really, really delicious. I want to get my hands on them. I think small batch carries these right now, so I may buy a pack of 5 just to try them out. But I am interested in it because, again, there is a lot of uniqueness to most of their cigars that I've had. But I'm not sure where this one's going to land in terms of like flavors overall, because I really like the uniqueness of the white and the black. Those additions I think were really good cigars, although I've only had them a couple of times. Curious to see where this one lands. And by the way, because it is a limited edition cigar, and I think they've done with this in previous years, is that they don't actually release the blend. So it's undisclosed. We don't know what it is. So it's just kind of a crapshoot when you actually smoke it, and just hopefully that the experience is good.
I will add one comment, which is Cavalier, especially the Connecticut, was one of the very few Connecticut's where I actually really appreciated the flavor.
They have a Connecticut? Oh, maybe.
I thought it was a Connecticut.
Maybe that is this. I don't know. I forget. I think it's, I don't know.
I thought it was a Connecticut. I could be wrong, but I will say this. Flavor-wise, in general, Cavalier does make some solid tasting cigars, but I do agree wholeheartedly. I don't know what the deal is. I really don't. But I've had nothing but burn issues on pretty much every single Cavalier smoke I've had.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know what causes it. It's not like some weird fluctuation in humidity in my humidor, because none of my other cigars experienced it. It was literally just that cigar, and I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why.
For the life of me, I cannot remember. Sorry.
We just think that we will
wise and we never compromise. Yeah, it's weird, dude. It's like, I'm like, you know, you smoke one once and you go, shit happens. And you smoke another one, you go, oh, that's kind of weird. And you smoke a third one, you go, what the fuck is going on with these damn things?
There's a pattern here.
Yeah.
There's a pattern.
Yeah, if it's free, I feel like it's not coincidental at that point.
Yeah.
Next on the list, another release, usually always an anticipated release, is the Craft 2021 by Roma Craft. This year they are doing a pair of 5 5/8 by 60 double perfectos. Both have unique wrapper designs that I think they've done in the past. So they have the accent colors, Chris. They have the accent Candela, which of course you would like. Both use Connecticut broadleaf. One's the accent wrapper is Ecuadorian. The other one is the Connecticut Candela. Internal blend still has some of the Indonesian in it on the binder, Dominican, Nicaraguan fillers. One of the differences in the 2020 the Craft 2021 Neander and the Neanderthal is that uses the Pennsylvania double Lajero. So Pennsylvania tobacco is kind of a weird one, but when used correctly
as a filler,
Pennsylvania tobacco can be really, really fucking delicious. Now, these are expensive, as they always typically are. The past ones have been expensive. They're a little bit tough to get a hold of. $18 per cigar, 2,000 boxes of 10 cigars each. So there's not a lot that are coming out. And it's going to be a mixture of both that Connecticut and Candela accented cigars. So we shall see.
Skip, if you're listening to the show, which you probably aren't.
Yeah, he actually does listen, I think, to most of them. So
okay. Well, Skip, send us some. Because listen, man, I'll be real with you. Like, there's only a couple places I can get Roma Craft, and it's not the Roma Crafts I want.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They're only selling them to 10 stores.
God damn it, Skip.
Oh, no. Sorry. No. That is not the case. The recent releases of the Craft were only sold to a maximum of 10 stores. This release is going to be the majority of the Roma Craft accounts. So there is a chance that if we go to a tobacconist close to us that carries Roma Craft, that it is possible to get a hold of these. So
I'll pay it. I'll pay it to support the brand for sure.
I mean, they look fucking incredible. Here's one that I'm excited about, and it's just not like huge news, but it is kind of cool. The Papas Fritas, the Liga Privada Unicorn series, which is the Papas Fritas from Drew Estate, is actually like a really fucking good small cigar, 4.5 by I think 44. They're very, very small. So they're now selling these in 25 count boxes, which is cool because I've been buying a lot of 10 cigars recently. I bought 10. I think it was 10 of 10. I was looking like $17 or whatever, but they were the T52 blend. And I've been smoking those because my time is challenged. So it's tough sometimes to smoke a cigar for more than 45 minutes or an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on the Vitola. Yeah. So I've been buying a lot of like really small 10 cigars. So it's kind of cool to see the Papas Fritas in like a 25 count box. They used to have them in 50 count boxes, which is kind of a lot because they do MSRP for like $4 a piece, a smaller Vitola, sometimes a little bit more, upwards like $5. So it's kind of cool to see them lower the box count, one something that's a little bit more manageable from a price point, but you can still get a hold of a lot of them because they are really delicious. The one thing that I will say about them is the Vitola is kind of funky, right? And the Papas Fritas, it's got the little pigtail cap, but they are really good. I think they're good. I think the blend is really delicious. And I think from a short smoke perspective that they're always on point. I usually grab a few of these every time. Local tobacconists, I just pick them up and I just smoke them when at time's convenient. So, and
you know, I do find them comparable to the Liga line in general. I really do. Like,
from a blend perspective, yeah.
They're not too much of a far departure from like the Liga 9 or even the T52.
No, they're just small. They're just
smaller. But the blend in general, the way they've blended that cigar is very much in line, I think, with the Liga, and it is a good smoke. It is a good smoke.
Yeah, they are really good. Every time I go to like Jungle Gems, my father-in-law makes me pick some up for him. Like, hey, give me some of those Papas Fritas. He smokes them all the time. Fucking loves them. Smokes them all the time. I'm like, all right. And they're really not that expensive. They MSRP for a little bit higher, but if there's certain places you can get them right around like $4, $4.25. Yeah. They're not unreasonable at all. This is interesting. We actually talked about this before. I think we talked about it on our PCA show as far as like, what did we expect attendance to be like at PCA this year? And the numbers have finally come out. Chris, do you care to guess? And I don't want to say in terms of number of attendees in the total show, but do you care to guess how down or up it was since the previous year in 2019?
$8,000.
No, they've never even come close to 8,000.
Really? Oh, they don't do Consumer Day, do they?
No.
Oh, shit.
Would you be surprised if I told you they've never had more than 4,000 attendees?
I thought they would with Consumer Day, honestly.
Well, they never had Consumer Day, so there you go.
Let me guess again. I want a second chance.
Okay.
1,500.
It's close. That's 1,500 is how many. 1,440 was how many badges were actually printed at the show, which is down 25%. 25% retail personnel was down. It was 31% for 30% less participation from storefronts. So it went from 771 brick and mortars, actual individual stores, to 583.
Let me ask you, what's
number
the
of badges printed went from 2,000 to 1,400.
What's the point at that point? Let's think about it. Like,
I think this is what we were talking about before in terms of the show participation. Now here's the rub, and I've said this before. Seems to be somewhat of a controversial topic, but I'm only saying this from a business perspective.
Sure.
And I'm only trying to play devil's advocate here. You have a trade show association. You want to get as much out of that trade show association as you put into it, right? You pay money because the realization of that trade show is it's going to allot you these certain things. Like, that's why there's trade show associations that exist. That it's tit for tat. That's what it is. It's not a free endeavor, or it's not a paid endeavor and you get nothing in return. Otherwise, no one would do it. So there is an anticipation that if you participate in one of these trade shows, that there's going to be a positive outcome for you. Here's the problem. And this is the problem that I see in the total number of badges printed in 2019 versus the one in 2021. Total badges printed, and this is across the board. So this would be media, this would be retailers, this would be anybody who a retailer decides to bring. It would be anybody and everybody. Was just under 5,500. This year was just over 3,000. 2,500 less participants in total than the previous show. I don't suspect that the budget or what they were asking for booth space was cut in half, but the attendance was cut in half. So it's like, where do you go from here? What makes most sense?
Well, here's the thing. So, okay. There is, how many cigar shops do you think are in America? I think there's been a number thrown out before, maybe 10,000.
It's a lot. I don't know. It's got to be a lot.
I think it's definitely in the thousands. Obviously, I thought I heard a rough number of like 10,000.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Okay, so your goal is to drive awareness to something you're releasing, right? I've got new stuff. I want all you retailers and hopefully consumers, but mostly retailers. I want all you retailers to start putting in some orders because we want to stock your shelves with our latest releases. There was 1,440 attendees.
Yeah. There's 4,200 cigar lounges in the U.S. as of 2021, whenever they took that.
Okay.
And only
a fourth.
Only 800 showed up.
Yeah, basically.
No, it was less than that. Only 583 showed up this year.
Okay, so it's less than a fourth. So like,
I mean, it's
an eighth.
An eighth of the store showed up.
So your goal was to bring awareness to your cigars at a trade show in the hopes of driving purchase orders at the show, because that's what the trade show's for.
Yeah. It's one of the only trade shows that still exists where people actually write orders at the show.
Right. That's what it's for.
It's like re-upping, essentially. What new shit of mine do you want to buy?
Yeah. That's what it's for. So it doesn't seem, let's just be real when it comes to numbers. It doesn't seem advantageous from a retailer purchase order perspective based on this recent year's numbers. But secondly, if press is really what you want out of your cigar, let's say purchase orders are great. We want that. That's part of the gig. That's part of the game at a trade show. It obviously is not. It did not play out that way this year.
Yeah.
And if like 80-20 rule, right? Like you hope to have 20% effort for 80% yield. I feel like it's flip-flop now for any brand that went to this trade show. Secondly, and I love PCA, I love what they do, but I think from a trade show perspective, that's not great. So then I think, well, if press is really what you're after, right? You want to bring awareness to your new releases. Does it really require a trade show at this point? With all the avenues of social media and news outlets like Half Wheel and all these other ones, Cigar Coop and Cigar Dojo, the ones that do it great, right? And Cigar Aficionado, the ones that do it great. Do you really need the event at that point?
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably not. I'm sure it'd be a lot cheaper to do an ad in some social thing or on a website than it is to spend $100,000 or $50,000 for a small booth at a trade show, hoping you're going to get some orders for your next line.
The only thing I can say is like a positive outcome to this, because really, if you look at attendance from those brick and mortars, it's down 188 separate brick and mortar stores than it was in the previous year of the trade show, which was back in 2019. The only thing I can say that could be a potential positive to PCA in 2021 versus 2019 was, although the attendance was down, so was the manufacturer representation as well.
That's true.
So my thought process is less the attendance, maybe less the brand representation. Those attendees can still spend a lot of time at some of the more, some of the premium guys who are still there, as opposed to having to wander through a much larger trade show and parceling out only small bits of time per each one of the manufacturers. They get to spend more time. So I think if you're a really good, strong manufacturer at the show, you could have had a really good show because you're competing with a lot less manufacturers there. You're not competing with Drew Estate this year. Nobody from General Altatus this year. How many brands fell off and didn't participate? So you're not having to fight against those guys at the trade show and biting for time. So although the attendance was down, if you did present at the trade show, and I think if you had really strong brand representation, you likely did pretty good. But if you didn't, you probably didn't do well.
I got 10 stores and everybody buys the Acid Drew Estates, okay? When Drew Estate said they were not going to attend PCA, I'm out. There's no reason for me to go at this point. They represent 85% of my humidor. There's no reason to go. If I want cigars by Drew Estate, I'll just ask them. I'll just ask them directly. I don't need to go to the show.
Yeah.
Papa Fritas, I can get it from them. I don't need to go through PCA. League of Nines, I can go right to them. I don't need the show.
Yeah, I think it's just ended up becoming a gathering of people as opposed to like a super meaningful show for some. Again, I think if you had strong brand representation, you likely did pretty well despite low attendance numbers.
Sure.
But I could say there's an adverse effect to that as well. Like if you're a newer brand trying to showcase your brand, you probably didn't do as well. If you're a brand that isn't highlighted well is from a marketing perspective, but you show up for the trade show, probably got lost in the shuffle. So I think there's good and there's bad to it. But I would say as a trade show association, here's the realities. It's down significantly. You went from 233 exhibitors to 144. That's significant. I don't care how you slice up that number. I don't care what kind of data you want to show on the adverse of that. That's not good. When you start to decline in attendance and you start to decline in manufacturer representation and those kinds of numbers, something's not good. And I don't necessarily think I think there's impacts of COVID, but I don't think it was because of COVID. I don't think people looked at it and said, I feel unsafe going to the trade show. I think what it is people found a way in the time of which COVID shut everything down to communicate with one another more effectively, to understand that you can still have meaningful conversations with associations and manufacturers, and you can still build those relationships as a result, which if you look at PCA, it's like it's great to see people in person, but the reality is you're only there for a couple of days, right? I'm not saying it's not meaningful, but you can forge those relationships and other means and other channels over a period of time. And you think about the expenditure from a marketing perspective to go out there to pay for it, right? If you can conduct the same kind of business without having to front the money to be in Vegas, which is inherently expensive, flights, hotels, food, etc., you have that expenditure that you have to put forward to attend the trade show, both on the manufacturer side and on the vendor side and on the retail side. It's like, I think some people are looking at those budgets and saying, I can take this budget and allocate it elsewhere and probably get a much better result. I can get better ROI. That's my thought and feeling about it. Personally, I think that's where I think a lot of people are being smarter about their spend, especially given the times, and they understand that there's other avenues of which not only they can communicate, but they can get the same things done that then maybe they were getting done at PCA before. And now there's other avenues of which to get those things done. And I think it lessens the impactfulness of something like PCA, the trade show and the organization as a whole, when those things were discovered over the course of the pandemic. That's just my opinion. I don't know. There may be a resurgence in 2022 and everybody will rally together and go, we're all about PCA, and then I'll eat my words. But I have a feeling that the decline is going to continue. I don't think it's going to be this thing in 2022 where we're back to normal. I think it's going to continue to decline to the point where PCA will no longer do the trade show. I think
PCA is crucial as an organization. They are 100% crucial to the safety and protection of this industry. But I don't think, based on this year and just how things have played out,
like the trade show,
is it required to participate in a trade show in order to have a sustainable business for yourself if you're a cigar manufacturer or brand?
Well, from what I've seen, I'm going to kill this fucking dog. Tom, get out from my God, you son of a bitch.
Get him, bro.
He's irritating the shit out of me, dude. Everything he does pisses me off. I really think that I think it's going to have to be reworked and relooked at. And I'm sure they're doing that. Like, they know what their attendance numbers are. And they're probably like, fuck, this isn't good. How are we going to keep people interested? How are we going to keep vendors interested? If we can't get attendees in the door and it's down and declined this much, there's only going to be a further erosion of manufacturers want to participate. That's the downfall of all these types of trade shows. Tons of those in my industry come and go. Like, I remember participating in what they called EHX East and EHX West. Then you had CEDIA, and then you had Digital Signage Expo, and you had Infocom, which still exists. But most of these trade shows that I used to go to when I started in this industry have all gone away because they lost their relevance. People didn't get the ROI that they needed out of them, so they stopped investing in them. And that could play out the same way for PCA. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. You still have TPE. which seems to be the more popular of the two, at least in this year. I think it had a bit more popularity, and I don't know if it was time frame of the year because it's European year.
The European reach.
There's the European reach of TPE as well, for sure. And they have the Vegas show this year, which I think TPE, and the time of the year too, it's like in January. So of course everybody wants to get away and get to Vegas in January because it's nicer, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's something to TPE, but it's also interlaced with, vaping and all the other shit. So that less flattering as far as the connection to cigars. But I think PCA as a standalone organization has some reworking and rethinking to do over the next year to hopefully build something that creates a resurgence of attendance in 2022. Because my thought is if they don't change anything, I'm looking at these numbers, and just to put this in perspective, it's a much smaller industry. So I understand how this works, but just to put it in perspective, if you are on a showroom floor, which I've done shows in the Sands Convention Center before, multiple times. Digital Signage Expo used to be held there. Digital Signage Expo, we're talking about here, you have badges printed, was only 3,000 in total. Whether or not those people actually stepped on the showroom floor is unknown, but we could say, let's just say for the sake of the number,
majority,
3,000.
Yeah.
When I was going to Digital Signage Expo, there was 4 times that amount at 12,000, and it still looked like the expo center was empty. And then I do something like Infocom and there's 40,000. It's totally fucking different, right? Like there's no energy in that room when it comes to cigars. It's a finite amount of people. And if you're a sales rep for a manufacturer, you got to work that much harder to hit whatever sales objectives you have based upon a lower number of attendance, which isn't your fault. Right? That is what the trade show is supposed to provide you. It's not saying that you're not doing marketing campaigns to get people out there, but that's why you have the trade show. The trade show is supposed to bring in those retailers because those people pay into PCA and they're supposed to come out and participate and try to figure out which brands do I want to carry on the shelves? Do I need to do a reorder for this? What new product is out there that I can put on the shelves and I know is going to fly off and is going to make us exponentially more profit than we made in maybe this other line? Or, hey, I'm really looking to bring on, we've expanded our humidor, so we're looking to bring on 2 more lines. Let's explore the PCA trade show to see who would be a best fit. There's strategies that go into place, but if you aren't bringing the attendance in as an organization, manufacturers are going to look at this and they're going to go, what am I investing in? I've got to work so much harder because attendance is down 30%. Now I got to work that much harder to get as much out of the people who are attending than if I were to have the representation I had in years past. I'm telling you right now, what you're going to see if PCA does not do something drastic between now and when trade show time comes next year, you're going to have 1, more manufacturers fall off, and 2, you're going to have more retailers fall off. Both those things fall off to a degree. There's always a threshold. If they hit below that threshold, the show's done. They won't do it again.
And I'm telling you, if Drew Estate don't attend next year, 2022, I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. We spent way too much fucking time on this. We got to get into this happens, and let's get into this because I'm really excited about this topic. Chris and I were talking last week, and so many people, and this fucking gets asked all the goddamn time. And I used to have a very snarky reaction and answer to this question because I always think it's ridiculous because it's impossible to answer. But then I started thinking about it more, and it's just like, I'm not calling the person ridiculous who's asking the question because they simply don't know, and they're just being inquisitive and they want to understand. But it's really hard, given how many cigars that we actually do smoke, to kind of pinpoint which ones are our favorite. But really what I wanted to do is I wanted to challenge Chris in particular today, and I'm going to challenge myself maybe on the next episode, maybe the episode after that, as far as mine. But really start to think about what are our Mount Rushmore cigars? Which ones are the most favorable? Which ones do we gravitate towards the most? Which ones in our smoking experience from when we first started between then and that point and now do we favor the most?
I think that's a great way to put it. And I will say this. Everything comes in seasons, folks. Everything comes in seasons. And I felt like when I really thought about the cigars that are on my Mount Rushmore today, and I think that's key word, today, 100%. Right? Because this changes.
Yeah.
It's always changing. So I'm thinking to myself, what cigars in 2021 have I treated as my Mount Rushmores? A lot of the times, it's cigars that I will have repeatedly, regardless of the cost and regardless of the demand or supply of demand, that I will always try to get this year, that were the ones that I always just manage to gravitate towards when I want to smoke. So I would say, with an asterisk to what Corey said, which he put it very, very well, and I'm just color commentating at this point, this is going to constantly change, people. This list is going to change. What my Mount Rushmore is today is not going to be what it's going to be in 6 months.
I mean, our little Mount Rushmore as it is today is already being challenged by the progressive left and is likely not going to be today what it will be in the next 10 years. So,
yeah.
What you see behind me 10 years from now could look very different.
Yeah. So
forget to the guy that's over on this side of me, freed the slaves, and this guy gave us the ability to live in freedom. No, it doesn't matter. It's going to change.
Yeah, for sure. So, you want to get into it?
I do want to get into it. So we're doing a top 4 is what we're doing. Mount Rushmore is, of course, 4 presidents. There may be a 5th one there. They may go down to 3, may go down to 2.
Yeah.
May not be a Mount Rushmore. I'm surprised no one's blown it up yet. Not surprised someone hasn't chucked like an M80 up in Washington's eye. Blown his eyeball out. All right, let's get into it. All right, what is Chris's top 4 cigars, his Mount Rushmore? Let's go.
My first one, my Theodore Roosevelt, people. My Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president of the United States. Yes, I had to look that up because I don't remember the number.
No one remembers that number, but you can see the white of his eyes.
But I got it now. Is the Juarez Shots XX by Crown Heads.
Oh, what?
Listen, it was made out of the Pichardo factory.
Listen, I don't hate that pick. I'm just perplexed. I don't hate the pick at all. Really, I don't.
Yeah.
I get it. Do your thing. Keep going.
Mexican San Andreas wrapper, Ecuadorian Sumatran binder, Dominican Republican and Nicaraguan fillers. It's a short fucking smoke, people. It's 4 inches by 50 ring gauge.
The Shots is a little dongy,
which they call a petit robusto.
Yeah.
All right.
Little dong.
It is $5-ish, people.
So would you say that one of the things that makes this cigar most appealing is the fact that it comes in at such a great valued price point?
It comes in at such a great value price point for the with an equal balance of quality on the smoke. And in fact, I feel like the quality of the smoke exceeds the price of the cigar itself,
which we've talked about,
which has made my Teddy Roosevelt basically, because when it's available and good smoke, but even when I'm like, money's tight with family, I need to be a little bit more conscientious of my financial situation. Cool. I
can buy Juarez.
I can buy a fucking Juarez and have a great fucking smoke. And I swear to you, even when I have had 3 cigars at a lounge and I've got 45 minutes left up on that clock before I got to leave and do something else, I will literally use that time,
smoke a shot,
and fill it with a fucking Juarez.
Yeah, I've done it before. I've been there.
I have done it too many times.
Yeah, I've been there for sure. I've definitely been there. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I know that.
So it is a perfect smoke at a cheap price that is super quality. I think Crown Heads nailed it out of the park. Like, it is one of my current Mount Rushmores, my Teddy Roosevelt. That is my number 1 out of the list so far.
Who's this guy? Is that Jefferson?
Yeah, there's Jefferson up there. There's we got Theodore, we got Jefferson, Washington, and Lincoln.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So who would be the next one? Jefferson, like least relevant.
Actually, you know what?
Fucked one of his slaves, didn't he? And then had a bunch of babies with her.
I'll give you my Lincoln next. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give you my Lincoln.
Okay.
JRE's Aladino Corojo Reserva.
Really?
I cannot tell you how many times I've bought that cigar.
Really? That Honduran Prince, huh?
Cannot tell you how many times I bought that cigar.
Really?
Cannot tell you.
I'm not. I am shocked by the pick, but I don't hate the pick because I think you have kind of the same affinity for Honduran tobacco that I do.
Yeah.
And it's done right. It's really done right. And those cigars are usually pretty good. It is Honduran, right? I'm not crazy.
It's country of Honduras, and it uses Corojo for pretty much wrapper, binder, and filler.
Okay.
I will tell you this right now. It comes out of the Las Lomas factory. It's a $12 smoke. It is a cigar that, and you can get a cheaper one. They have a Corojo as well, like not the Reserva, which is almost as good. But there's something about the Aladino Corojo Reserva that I friggin' love. And I constantly get it when it's available. And thankfully, a shop that's near us has it readily available. And I feel like it's a hidden gem inside the humidor because people just kind of like pass it for like Fuentes and other shit and Olivas. And I'm like, dude, does anybody realize that JRE has made a fucking fantastic line? And they've got Cameroons, Maduros, like Connecticut's, like for the Aladino line, but the Corojo Reserva.
Just the jammy jam, huh?
Oh, so good, dude.
It's an interesting pick.
And I've had it so many times. It's a cigar that still packs a little bit of heat and spice, but it smooths out and it's so creamy and it has such sharp, pronounced like bitterness and saltiness to it that I've had it when it's in the morning. I've had it when it's in the middle of the afternoon or even at night, and it's like it doesn't matter. It's like a great cigar that is so like even keeled, like for anybody's palate, really. Like anybody that has like a good sophisticated palate that really appreciates kind of a medium to full bodied smoke. It is such a fucking good cigar, dude.
You just
love Aladino. Love Aladinos.
Yeah, that JRE stuff is fucking pretty damn good. I've got to give you that. Didn't think that would be in a top 4, but like, because the whole thing really is I really wanted to roast you, and those two, you've made it somewhat challenging for me to do that. So I'm curious to hear the next two because I'm hoping I can roast you a little bit on those.
So that was Lincoln, right?
Yep. On to Jefferson.
So I got Teddy and Lincoln.
No, you went Teddy. You got yeah, those are the two that you've done. You have Jefferson and Washington left.
Okay. So the next one's definitely my George Washington. All right. First founder, right? First founder of the free people, right?
Arguably the most important. So I'm not sure why he's third, but that's okay.
Right. But, I'm just going through my list and associating presidents as I go. Number 3, and I have bought this countless times, almost weekly. And Corey can attest to this even when we took our trip back in 2018 when we were held up in Miami, Florida. Does that give me any clues yet? Held up in Miami, Florida, traveling to Dominican Republic. We participated at a lounge, and the first cigar I bought at that lounge was a what? You remember?
You used to buy it weekly?
Well, I buy it weekly now, but then I had only had it a few times. But when we went to that lounge in Miami, Florida, when we were held over trying to get to Dominican, we went to this really prestigious lounge.
Yeah, I know what lounge.
Cigar I bought was a what? You remember?
You buy it weekly now.
I do buy it weekly now, which is going to throw you off when I actually give you the name, probably.
Literally weekly.
Literally weekly. Weekly, I get this cigar. In fact, I have one in that bag that I showed you yesterday.
Charter Oak Maduro?
Nope. Foundation Tabernacle.
Oh, the old tabby tab.
Wrapper, Connecticut.
Because you had a Curavari and you had 2 Foundation cigars, one being the Tabernacle and the other being the Charter Oak Maduro.
Yeah.
I was just going to roll through them because I do remember what you had in there.
Yeah. Foundation Tabernacle, people. Wrapper, Connecticut Broadleaf, Binder, Mexican San Andreas Fillers, Honduras from the Jamastran Valley, and Nicaragua, Esteli, and Jalapa Valley. boy. So you can get a wide array of Foundation Tabernacles in so many different sizes now, but you can truly get a freaking Corona Foundation Tabernacle for $9. $9. And the Foundation Tabernacle is fucking packed full of savory flavors and spice and earthiness. It is still to this day, since 2018, 2017, one of my favorite smokes. And I still get it almost on the weekly.
It's a great cigar. It's a great cigar. I will not dispute that at all. And one thing that I always thought was really cool about the Tabernacle, where it's like, if you wanted an alternative to what the Liga Privada number 9 used to be, I used to just tell people to smoke the Tabernacle. It's like, if you want the same sort of experience, but I would argue in most cases better and less expensive, just smoke the Tabernacle. Because I'm not the biggest fan of the number 9 anymore. It used to be, that would be on my Mount Rushmore. But I think the T52 is arguably better than the number 9 now. Like the T52 to me has better flavor. And I don't know if it's a palatability thing, like something that has changed in me over time. I think a lot of people would argue there's a lot that's changed in the blend too. So it may be a combination of both, but I would argue the T52 is better. But if you were to compare cigars and you were to say, hey, what else tastes like the number? Like, let's just say, I don't want to smoke the Drew Estate number 9 anymore because it's a shell of what it used to be. It's a skeleton. What should I smoke now that gives me kind of the same experience? I would say the original Tabernacle.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good pick. It's a really good pick. I won't argue with that one.
So, my Jefferson, right? Listen, he's maybe not like the other 3 presidents up on this list so far, right? Teddy, Washington, Lincoln. But Jefferson contributed a lot, all right? He contributed a lot to like our way of life. And this next one, for me, is something that is not easily as obtainable as I'd like it to be. But the first moment I had it, hey, bud.
Hi, Kale. Love you.
You want to smoke? No, I'm joking. This next one, I think he found my speech so passionate that he had to give me a hug.
Love you, Dad.
I'm killing it, Dad. This one is not so easily attainable for me, but the first time I had it,
then I'm already know what it is.
It's something that I constantly want. Maybe you think you know what it is.
I know.
Maybe. I'll let you guess.
It's 2 things. It can only be 2. My first guess would be the Remacraft Cro-Magnon Fomorian.
Yeah.
Am I right?
No.
My other would be the Andalusian Bowl.
Oh, man. Both of them I considered on this list.
But either one made it?
No.
What the fuck?
Both of them I considered on my list, but I really thought about like the frequency by which I'd want to smoke these things and the frequency by which I could get my hands on these things.
The Padron 1926.
No. And it's gonna be so in left field, which I think is indicative of Jefferson.
Is it that Partagas?
No. That's a good one too. The Decadus 10.
Hold on. I really got to guess this through because I thought for sure the first 2 I was going to nail it.
Listen, let me give you a hint.
Yeah,
like,
give
you one hint.
Yeah.
We've done business with them.
We've done business with them?
Yeah.
What do you mean we've done business with them?
We did business with them.
Oh, is it the Rodriguez, the 1831? What is it called?
Series 84 Maduro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. I thought it was that test blend one that they never went in the market.
I really wanted to stroke our ego and do like the donger, but because the donger is fucking fantastic, people. I wish everybody could have smoked it.
Yeah. Well, they'll have their chance. Don't you worry.
But
yeah, dude, for real though, for realsies, no joke, not exaggeration. The Series 84 Maduro is such a superb cigar.
Yeah.
Hands fucking down. Legitimately one of the best cigars. Like, I've had it many times And by many times, I mean probably 10.
Yeah.
And it's so goddamn good. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Such a good cigar. I love that.
Good. That's my Jefferson.
I like it.
And, you know, for some of you listening to this episode, some of these names are maybe not as well known for you in the industry. I think JRE is big enough, but you probably maybe not have seen Aladino on the shelves. Maybe not. I
hope most people would.
I hope, but yeah, I don't know. But definitely Rodriguez, Series 84 Maduro, I would say is challenged you would be challenged to see it on shelves currently.
Yeah, Danny doesn't have a lot of stuff on shelves, but here's what I'll say, and this is just because it's a sincere admiration, not because it's a sponsor or anything like that, because it isn't. We're close friends with Danny. But if you really here's the thing, if you want to try them, because they aren't just available in retail everywhere, but I promise you, they're some of the best fucking cigars you can smoke. You can literally buy them from his website. So you can go to Rodriguez Cigars website and just go buy a box on there. And I'm telling you, it's worth it. People who are Rodriguez fans, dude, you know who they are, because if you post a Rodriguez cigar and they see it, they come out of the fucking woodwork to literally go, Danny's cigars are the fucking best. I hear it all the time. If I post a picture that has a Rodriguez cigar in it, there's this fucking weird, tight-knit community of people who know how goddamn good they are, and they're like the biggest dick riders ever. It's kind of culty. It's a little weird because it is very culty.
Yeah.
And they absolutely rave over those cigars, which I do as well, obviously. It's the reason why we had the donger manufactured at Danny's place and his facilities, because we knew what kind of tobaccos he was working with and what he could produce. That's why we did it. You know, that and the fact that he's cool ass dude makes some good shit. So
yeah,
I like that choice. That's a great choice. That's a great choice. Yeah, the Series 84 Maduro, man, that thing is fucking unreal. I did a review on that on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
I did a really good review of that fucking cigar. Yeah, 1 hot minute review, man. It's one of 2 that I've done. And it was when I first smoked this cigar, I was like, what is this? That's how I felt about it. I literally went, what is this thing? I thought it was
some of the tobacco is stored in barrel aged containers and shit, and it's
I don't know what they do, where this I know where the factory's at that he gets them produced, and I'm not going to say it on here, but it's just there's so much that has to go into producing really good tobaccos, right? There's the yield, right? How much good tobacco do you get? What do you use? What's the most adequate for every single type used, being filler, binder, and wrapper? And then you've got to start exploring the flavor combinations too. You've got to pinpoint certain things and really get a good expression that is going to be applicable to a wide audience of people. It's fucking tough to do. I don't envy people who have to do that day in, day out. And there's people who are really masters at it that just understand. And they also have access to really good tobacco. Danny and what he does and the facility that he works with, it's kind of a hidden gem. It really is. It's if more people had been have been or should be exposed to his cigars, you would understand how good they are. And that brand would just blow the fuck up. It would, I know it's not the same strategy that Danny has in mind for his cigars, but I'm never going to argue. There is not one Rodriguez cigar that I've had. And I've had test blends out the wahoo, and I've had stuff that's in regular production, and that shit is all fucking good. Everything is good. It's one of the only places where I could literally say everything that I've seen produced is amazing. There's usually always fault in something where you go, that one didn't hit the mark.
Yeah.
Not anything from Rodriguez, not at this point. I say it with the utmost confidence.
Yes.
I like that list. It's a good 4. It's not one that I expected. But I like that you're living in the reality of now, you know?
Yeah.
I think your top 4 would be different if accessibility was not as challenged in some other areas.
For sure.
I think if you could get back to smoking the Fomorian more, you know what I mean? If it was more widely available, I feel like that would be one that would always kind of
the Bull and the Fomorian were definitely 2 of them that I considered on the list until I was like, yeah, but I haven't smoked them that much. I've had more Bulls than I've had the Fomorians at this point.
Oh, me too, for sure. I've got 4 or 5 Bulls in my humidor.
Yeah, so it's I can't really say the Fomorian, because I feel like if I had it, I would want that reassurance that, having had it recently, I'd be like, yes, it's still there, man.
Right. But you kids like hard to reflect on it.
Yeah.
Right. Cause you're like, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Did you find that like 2 were pretty easy and then the other 2 were tough?
Yes.
Because I'm kind of struggling. Like I know my definitive top 2, but then when you start to get in the middle of the field a little bit, it becomes a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like my definitive top 2 are very definitive. And I'm sure a lot of people could call them out because I talk about them all the time. But then I have 3 and 4 that I'm like, but what about these? Like, where does 3 and 4 fit? Like, what could it be? And it could be literally like 20 different cigars.
Yeah.
Like, that's point, how close they are at that point.
Yeah.
It's not as definitive. It's not as standout. Like there's really always 1 or 2 that are very standout to me.
The Aladino and the shots were for sure like a very quick to mind thing. I was like, well, I smoked that fucking shit out of Juarez and I smoked the shit out of Aladinos. Like,
nah, I get that. Makes sense. I don't, sorry, I'm writing down notes real quick. I like that. I like that top 4. I like that current Mount Rushmore 4. And I'm, you know, what we should do is we should always do one of these episodes a year because, right, we have to also think about and take into consideration that so many cigars come out in a year's time. And there may be things that where you haven't smoked, right? There's so many cigars in the market. We haven't smoked them all. Like I always have people who are like, hey, have you tried blah, blah, blah? And you go, no. I'm like, I can't believe you haven't tried that. I'm like, do you know how many fucking cigars I have to smoke to try every one of them? It's impossible. Like I've tried most of what's relevant. But there's so many fucking cigars in this industry. It's like, hey, it's literally like it would take me a lifetime to go through everything. It's just not, I'm not there yet. I smoke a lot, but I don't smoke 20 cigars a day to roll through the entire fucking Rolodex of cigars that exists in a market. It's just not going to happen. But those things can change over a year, you know, between 2021 and 2022, that list is probably going to change for the both of us. I would say at least the bottom 2 would rotate. 3
yeah.
4 will rotate out. It's almost like the Olympics. You're always going to have those 2 people, you know, are going to qualify 1 and 2, but that 3 and 4 spot is open up for everybody.
What I'm starting to begin to realize is that maybe it's not quite the Mount Rushmore because I feel like some of those cigars I gave would probably not necessarily be like the George Washington or Lincoln. Maybe more like the Woodrow Wilson or like the Nixon. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for
the
sure.
Herbert Hoover, something. But like,
yeah, the Grover Cleveland.
Just
everyone's like, wait, that was a president? I'm like, he sure was. He's
sure as fuck was.
Grover Cleveland was a fat piece of shit. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. But I like your top 4. I think that's good. And with that, we'll end it. This is going to be fun to have a discussion around in the coming week to see what people think about your top 4 and whether they agree or don't. Oh my God, what is happening right now?
Hey, it's the outro, man.
You get to hear it twice. It's so nice. Dude, sometimes I just forget to mute shit. It just comes like, that'll give you an indication of this is how long last episode was. So that's because that's where.
Oh shit, yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. Chris, I like your Mount Rushmore top 4. I think it was very good. It was surprising, but in a good way. I'll give you that. I can't give you shit about literally any one of those. I really wanted to. Because I thought you were going to say that Partagas. I'm like, I want to fucking grill him. Even though I like that Partagas a lot. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to grill him if he says Partagas. And there was a few others where I'm like, if he says this, I'm going to fucking grill him. And then like, you totally surprised me. So I like it. Interested to see what everybody else thinks. Certainly, obviously, we're going to put this out on YouTube. So I'm curious to see if like people agree with it. Obviously, post in the comments what you actually think about Chris's top 4 Mount Rushmore as it stands today, which could inevitably change in the future, which it probably will change in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious at this particular point in time what people think, because there was some surprises in there for me at least. I think there's, again, when we go through my list, I don't think there's going to be as many surprises. I think the bottom 2 may be surprising, but I'm not exactly sure. So we'll see. But I like your top 4. It's pretty damn good.
Sweet.
All right, let's wrap it up. Visit our show sponsor, My Cigar Pack. New cigar pack this month. They should be shipping very soon. I don't know what is an August pack. I will make sure that we tell you what's an August pack, the August pack, and the next episode. But you can visit mycigarpack.com, www.mycigarpack.com. Promo code HOT10 at checkout for your $10 off your first pack. What else we got? I think
nothing. Just love one another.
Be kind to one another. I hate sign-off shit for fucking shows. It's so stupid. I hate stuff that's overly produced. Obviously, you just heard me roll through our sponsorship, and I fucking stumbled over every other word. That's what you get.
Why don't we have like a closing tagline?
I don't know. There's a podcast that I listen to, and the guy at each end of the podcast, it's a financial podcast, so it'd be boring for most people. But at the end of it, he says, the host always says, name the kindest thing that anyone's ever done for you. And in the first show, I was like, oh, that's a good question to end with. And then after like the fifth time I heard it, I was like, this is fucking annoying. What a dumb question, really, in total. Like, because here's it's just such a dumb question because he has a lot of entrepreneurs on, a lot of rich people, a lot of people have started crazy businesses and are multi-millionaires. Yeah. Now it's an investment podcast. That's what it's about. And they all say, it's not the question that I hate, it's the answers that I hate because they're all the fucking same. Like imagine how a millionaire would answer that question. And that's what you get every fucking time. You just go, dude, you got to stop asking this question. Next time, say like, if you're going to murder someone, how would you do it? Like just throw a fucking curveball in there and let's spice it up a little bit. It just gets annoying. So that's why I don't have any like sign off shit because I think people are just like, this is old. Let's not do this anymore. The only one that I really like is from Bad Friends. Because they always go, this was Bad Friends.
Like short, simple.
It's short, simple.
That is the ending.
That's the ending. All right. Let's conclude this episode. This concludes episode 207. What? We'll be back at you next week with a different style of episode. You have a different style of episode next week, something that you haven't seen or heard before. And we'll be back to you next week with something surprising in episode 208. All right. See you, everyone.
Bye.